Let's get this party started. I want to record this so that y'all can say, "Oh, you never said that to us," and I can say, yes, I did. So I'm going to go to a screen. I'm going to go to, don't be embarrassed if I ever pull your program up. It means it's a good program. And I'm going to start with this one. This one was from assignment 2. Check out lines 1 through 7. I want that in your programs. I want that in your programs. Okay. I need that information. You need that information. I'm telling you to put it there. You notice the documentation throughout. Notes to self. How many times have you read a program in the book and you're going, what? And the documentation clears it up for you. This is something, if you're going to be a programmer, you need to start to really get in the habit of doing it. Now, I know this is one of my 162 students because I have JFET trained well, right? You get a program, especially in 162. If you're not looking at test data and drawing the picture and doing the work by hand first, you're going to be at a disadvantage when it comes to solving the problem. And I did give you sample test data, which was great, but JFET looks like he went and made up his own. And, you know, that first one was really a good test to see that 8 is the only one as far as the saddle point's concerned. Second one, 5 and 8. So he's got a bunch of different stuff. That 5th matrix is crazy. Now on this, by the way, I never said you had to have 5 arrays. You could have run it 5 times, put it in a loop from 1 to 5. If you know, you run this, you start to see the repetitive code of doing it with 5 matrices, and all that's fine. And this worked perfect. It was a great program. And I know some people are starting to upload their programs, like Matthew and Darren and a couple of others, and all pretty good. So as far as assignment 2 goes, you know, is your program looking like this? Or are you giving me some crappy stuff down here in the console that says enter numbers? Like I have any idea what the hell that wants me to do. Some of them I can't run because you know, you don't have the instructions dumbed down, and the instructions need to be dumbed down. But doing this work ahead of time, I guarantee you, he knew exactly what this program did and how he was going to solve it, and it worked out great. For the next one, again, I'm showing you good programs because the beginning it says assignment 3, who it is, what it's for, what it's doing, so on and so on. Letter frequencies. This one works out well, and I'll tell you why it works out well. Crap, I can't see. There we go. I moved my screen over. If I run this, can you see what it is when I run it? I clicked run, and it's taking a second. Go figure. Come on, window, pop up. I'm demonstrating a good program that doesn't work. There's, can you see the message that just popped up? Do I need to stop sharing?
No, it's not showing up.
Stop sharing. Share screen. Now you can see it. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. You're programmers, you're expert typers, cut and pasters, whatever it is. This program will analyze the sonnet. Now, this program was to work for Sonnet 18 because that's what was in the data file and that's what you needed to run. But what if I wanted to run this on something larger, you know, and not just this file? So there's going to be times where you need to not write a program so, you know, fine-tuned. It needs to be generic so you can see everything. Screen sharing stopped, and I want to share screen again. So in Sonnet 18, the distribution is alphabetical. Kind of interesting if I go alphabetical, or let me share screen again. Did I share? Can you see the next one? Or not?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And there it is. These are the numbers 63, 44, 42, and all the way down. Now, some of you coming out of CPS 162 are, I'm going to say this to you, Hoffman code. So you could have taken the number of characters, taken 63 divided by the number of characters and come up with a percentage, and you could have started to build your own Hoffman code. Everybody else is like, I don't know what he's talking about, and that's okay. That was just drawing on something we did in 162. And when some of you are who haven't taken 162 yet, when you take it, and hopefully you'll remember back to this program that we were talking about. Questions? All right, we're going to move along in chapter 12. The plan is to finish it up today.
I have a question.
You do? Go ahead.
Yeah, I seen that there was an class assignment we were supposed to do called border paint.
That's today.
Yeah,
Yep, we didn't do that yet.
but we're gonna do it.
In about 25 or 30 minutes.
Is this an individual assignment or group?
Yes, it's going to be an individual.
What if we need help for it?
Cry. It'll be one that you'll be able to do. It's not going to be super tricky. And it's going to, if you did the code listings, you're going to build on that and it won't be so bad.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right. So we started putting these controls on our stage, you know, some of the lingo with the stage, and we put some controls on, and we talked about having can't see that, can you? We talked about having buttons, and a button might say click me or something, and enter. We had our labels, enter a number, and we also had text fields, and we really haven't gotten into doing any work yet other than ways to place these labels and these text fields and these buttons. That's the first step. Second step, I need to be able to do some work. And thinking about the code listings that we'll do today, you're like, okay, yeah, I did them, but I'm going to need some explanation. So here we go. Click. I click that click button, right? I click that click. And when I do, I have something occurring that's called an event. And when this event occurs, I need to be able to handle the event. So today we're going to put a little more emphasis on control buttons. And then we're going to take another look at a layout that is pretty popular, that is actually different in FX than when we did it before FX. Buttons. It's a rectangular shape. It's got something written on it. When I instantiate a new object of type button class called my button, excuse me, I pass in a dog. They don't even know what they're barking at. There's 3 of them. Hang on, I'm going to yell at the dogs. Cujo. Yeah, that works. Okay, so I create a button. I have an argument going in to my parameter list. It's a string, and that's what's going to be on my button. And an example is click me, and we'll see a bunch of different types of buttons. Now, when I click on that button, an event occurs. And in simple lingo, it's something like all of a sudden the program's running and I click that, and now code is going to go crazy. And where is that going to go crazy? Well, I have to handle that event. So I'm going to put it in something called an event handler. And as you can see, it's an object that responds to that event. Okay. And again, these are 3 quick notes, and then we're going to get to the code listing and see it a little bit clearer. Now, in order to handle an event, I have to register it. And I'm going to register it by putting a block of code somewhere that has all the actions inside of there. That's the event handler. Then I'm going to link it by registering it. So I'm going to tie it all together. All I see is blue on white right now. I need to see some code. So that's what we're going to take a look at next. Code listing 10. All right, so all of a sudden I see some new import statements. Well, here I have the label and the button. And then I come down and I create my two controls. Here's my label. Here's my button. It says click me. I'm going to put both of them together vertically so I can get ready to display it. Then I'm going to add it to the scene. Get it all however I want it aligned and so forth. Then add the scene to the stage. Woohoo! 12:10 you did not have to do. And all it did is gives me an example with two controls, a label and a button. Now, as I said a moment ago, we want to be able to handle an event. When that button is clicked, it's an event. And you see some lingo in there, event object, event source, event handler. You'll get the idea of what all those mean here shortly. So I'm now going to take a look at code listing 1211, and I believe this is one you had to type in. Some new classes to import: event handler and action event. Now, a really important note and lingo up here that's going to become clear later as we go through this semester, talking more and more about objects, is I'm going to write an event listener. It's going to listen for when this event occurs, but I'm going to make it a private class, but I'm going to call it a private inner class because it's going to be inside of my program. All right, keep that in mind. Let's see what we have. We have, same as always, right? Here is my main. I hit launch args. It's an overwritten method. And we're going to talk more and more about that as we go through the course. I come in and I say, okay, here's my start, because this will launch start. I have an object called stage. Oh boy, somebody likes to write in this book. All right, so I'm going to create a label like I had before. I'm going to create a button, just like I did in 12:10. We saw that. And then I'm going to register my button. So how do I register it? Well, I'm going to call a method, set on action. We don't need to really see the code. But when I do, I'm creating a new button click handler object. Nothing in the parameter list, so it's calling the default constructor for button click handler. So again, documentation. I'm registering the event. So when the event occurs, it knows to go to button click handler. Can you hear me now? I got muted somehow. All right, so now I'm going to go down and take a look at the very last thing outside. It's a class. I'm going to have it what I would call an inner class. Remember, I instantiated an object called button click handler. Okay. Now you see something here called implements and event handler action event. So I'm doing this implementing that something we haven't talked about. And this goes back to the faith back in CPS 121. There were so many things that we couldn't talk about everything at once. This is going to come up soon. Now, when I implement another class,
Professor,
yes.
I don't know about anyone else, but with my JGraphs compiler, it doesn't recognize that event action with the lowercase right there. It has the implement event handler. I had to make it uppercase for it to actually compile.
Yeah, I
Yes,
have
Yeah,
the
same
same
here.
problem.
right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
it circled. I have it circled for that reason. Thank you for reminding me. Case, sensitive. If I ever get to teach this class again, I'll have that in there so I remember. But yes, thank you for commenting on that. Now, when I implement a class, this class is already written. What implement does is says, hey, I want to use your class because I like the way it's laid out. The only thing that's in here is line 64. So when I implement a different class, don't panic yet. We don't need the details of it. I know I have to override its method. And all I'm doing when I click that button is I have a label and I'm going to change the text on that label to thanks for clicking the button. So I'm going to change the label in here. So when I come back up here in my controls, I had a label that says click the button to see a message. And that my label is going to change down in my inner class when that object gets instantiated. That's all it's doing right now. Later, we're going to read things in from text fields, display things in text field. We're going to get a lot more action. But right now, that's all that's going on. So when I'm creating my controls, I do the label, the button, and then I'm going to register the button. My layout, boom, we got that. My scene, setting up my scene, boom, we got that. My stage, all the world's a stage. I run the program. There we go. I have a label that says click the button to see a message. When it gets clicked, an event occurs. That event gets handled. And inside my event handler, I'm changing my label to thanks for clicking the button.
One thing I want to add, it doesn't close automatically after you clicked it.
You're saying this window?
Yes, that window on the right.
Right. So we haven't killed it yet. And we'll talk eventually a little bit more about these guys. Well, everybody knows it's the minimize, the maximize, and the close. So yeah, it's still active and you would have to hit it to close it. That's one of the advantages to using a GUI, because I could click it again and, you know, it's just going to say, thanks for clicking the button. But eventually we're going to see where we can change data fields up here. Click the button, change the data field, click the buttons. Where up to this point, you've just rerun a program and rerun it and rerun it. The advantage of GUIs is I can put some test data in and click it, maybe change one or two things and click it. You know, so the editability, the reusability, that's why we get into using a lot of GUIs and not the console window. Because we're professional programmers. 12.7. So now I'm going to take another look at the text field control. We haven't done much with it yet, but this is the third of the controls. The label's the easiest one, clearly. The button we had to register and make an event. And now we have the text fields, three of our basic controls. Now I'm going to set up the text field by creating an object, just like I've done everything else. I'm going to not use the default because it could be blank, or I could put a message in that text field to start. That is all fine. I can read in from the text field by using the method getText. And again, getText is somewhere up in text field. That's a class written, stored away. Coming out of 121, we got the basic idea of classes. Okay, so you did code listing 12.2. Good. We got, we got a stage and a scene. We have two different layouts here, an H box and a V box. This is the first time you've had multiple layouts. Remember, we can create different layouts, place them both on the stage. We got geometry going on that we've got scene, we have our three controls, right? The label, the text field, and the but. We have our, what we just learned in section 12.6. We're going to click that button and it's going to get handled. So unlike 121, this Java is starting to include a lot of stuff. Imagine if Java just generically imported everything about Java, how huge it would be and how slow it would go. So the reason all of these are broken out is you add them when you need them. Let's see what's going on. This is one you typed in, you're all happy. I have a label, I have a text field, and I have a button, and I register the button. Boom. Lines 33 to 43. Think I'm pretty clear with all of those. A label, enter a distance in kilometer, a text field called kilometer text field, a button that says convert. I have calc button. I'm going to handle that event. It's registered. That means there's an inner class written called calc button handler. All right, so now I have my little adventure going. I have put the prompt label and the kilo text field in the H box. All right. I have calc button and the label in my H box. Okay. Set alignment, set some padding. I come down to my stage. All the world's a stage. And I get my stage all set up and we're all good. Now, inside of here, again, here's that, what we were talking about a little bit ago. This is not camel case, and you had to make some changes to get that to work. Here's my calc button handler. This time, I'm doing a little bit more. I'm coming in here and I have, I'm going to get the value from that text field. I'm going to convert it to a double, and now I have kilometers. I do my conversion, and I display it. So I have something that looks nice and pretty here. Ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. And you typed up, and it was all good. But now I'm going to have a pause for a moment. What I'm going to do is put you in small groups. And you notice we have enter distance in kilometers, and we click convert, and it does this. Well, what if I made this a little bit bigger so that it would do the other direction as well? Please enter, so what if I somehow manipulated this to be not only a kilometer converter to miles, but a miles converter to kilometers? That might be a little bit more useful of an application. So this guy is halfway done. You can enter it underneath here if you want, enter distance in miles and have a text field and a convert. But I want you and the other two people working with you to manipulate this to look like something a little bit nicer. One of the first things, and I mentioned this originally about Visual Basic, was it really helped to decide how you were going to lay this out. And, there was a horizontal box that said enter kilometers. And then there was a spot there. And then in a vertical box, you had a button, okay? And whatever that was. And then the output showed up down here. So I'm thinking, well, if I'm going to add another one, I may add another horizontal box, this time with miles, and then keep adding my next button over here. And finally, a way to display my output there. So one of the things I think is really important is, how am I going to lay this out? A horizontal layout, which we just saw, and then in the vertical, and then we'd have to do another horizontal, and then in the vertical, do this horizontal this button, this text box, this horizontal, this button, this text box. So part of what would make this a whole lot easier is I had a click button because this was enter, what was the first one? Miles. And this output was kilometers. This would be enter kilometers. This output would be in terms of miles. So if they put it here and click, I would get this. If they put it here and click, I would get this. So different ways to, this is like your test data almost. I need to know what the test data is, and what the layout's going to be like before actually going at it. And I think maybe I should have done this before I put you in your groups to give you a better understanding of what I was asking for. But like I said, you saw some horizontals, you saw some vertical layouts that included the horizontals. Okay, got you thinking a little bit on how to do that. Last section in chapter 12, border pane. This time I have a layout that's a little bit different. It used to be north, south, center, east, and west. But it used to confuse the heck out of people, believe it or not. East and west, people don't know what, anyhow. Think of the US, we live on the East Coast. Sun sets on the West Coast. But anyhow, FX changed at the top and bottom, left and right. And you see how the regions are divvied up. I have 5 different regions that I can now fill. All right, so I'm taking a look at this and I'm saying, what can I put in a region? I can put a single control in a region. I could put out a layout from something else in that region if I want, like an H box and a V box. Well, code listing 12:15, as you can see here. That's my zoom. I just pushed my camera down. Again, I'm taking advantage of the layout H box, V box, and now the layout border pane. All right, so let's see, what do I got here? I'm going to come in, I'm going to create a bunch of buttons, 5 of them. I figure out what I'm going to lay them out in. I'm going to lay them out in H boxes. So only buttons in each one, nothing really exciting. Again, I know I could put several things in here if I wanted to, in an H box or a V box and all the way around. We just saw that in that last thing we were talking about. I have my alignments I want to get ready. And now I create this new border pane, something a little bit different. I instantiate an object, type border pane, and I add to each of these regions what I created up above of the buttons. And again, we could add all kinds of stuff. Doesn't have to be a region. It could be a label. It could be a picture. There's all different things going on. Once I have this set up, I add it to my scene. My scene goes to my stage, and we're off. Good to go and running. And down here at the bottom of the page, you see an example. It's just simple single things in there. Not too exciting. But now it's time for you to do your in class. This one is actually graded. Normally I haven't been grading them, but this is a graded one. There we go. Write a program. And I have a deadline of 5 o'clock today using border pane. And I'm giving you the last 25 minutes of class. A lot of you may be able to finish it by then. Layout to tell about yourself. I'd like to see text in at least one of the boxes. I'd like to see at least one picture. I'd like to see.
Professor?
It's due at 11:30.
Yeah, it says 11:30.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm looking at it
Yeah.
right now.
You're looking at it right? Because I just updated it to 5 o'clock. I'll go back and recheck it.
It says 5 for me.
Oh,
It says
okay.
5 for me too.
Oh,
I just refreshed it. It says 5, but it was
oh,
11:30.
okay. Yeah. Like I said, I just went and changed it. So had you not refreshed it, you wouldn't have seen that. But like I said, most of you,
Convincing we could do to get you to push it back till 11:30, because I'm booked solid until 5 PM tonight.
Well, dude, you have the next 25 minutes in here to get a good chunk of it done. And most of it you're copying right out of the book. You know what I'm saying, with 12:5. So I'd be willing to bet, Darren, you can get it done.
You mean 12:15?
What?
It says here 12:15 for code listing, not 12:05.
Oh, 12:15, yeah. That's the one we just looked at. My apologies, I said that wrong. Okay, any questions? You can hang, excuse me. Doggone it. You can hang out here. In case you have a question, throw it out. I'll answer it. Somebody else might answer it, so on. You can, off you go, but you have the idea of what we're doing.
So we're making,
Just,
go ahead.
sorry, you go first.
So we're making a box that does the 5 things, and then have a picture,
Yeah, I might have a picture of me inside of here. I might have a heading kind of thing up here. Welcome to the world of blah, blah, blah. I might have another picture down here. I don't know. I might have some text. I teach at Hack, da, da, da. I might have some text over here. But just show me you know what's going on.
oh, so is it just literally co-listing 15?
Pretty much, except I want these filled with stuff about you.
Okay.
Let's talk about you. Let's talk about I. Let's talk
If,
about, yes, yes.
so if for some reason we're stuck, which I rarely doubt, but just in case, we can meet up with a tutor to help us, right?
If you need to, yeah,
Okay, thank you.
Professor,
yeah.
I'll be leaving now because I have an appointment that I set for 11:30. So I'll get it done before 5.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Get it
Thank-
started now, unless you have to drive to your appointment, but most of the people are typing away like crazy. I can see it. You can see it in some people's eyes. There's like, I'm getting it done now.
Can you put me and Matt Pregel in a breakout room? I never was able to get JavaFX working. He said he would help me.
Absolutely. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
And you said we can leave and work on it on our own.
Absolutely.
All right, well, I will see you. I guess I'll see you tomorrow, but other people won't.
Yeah,
Have a good one.
thanks, you too.
Yeah, next week, Mr. Farringer.
See ya. Matt Pregel is gonna work with Darren in room 1.
Thank you.
Mhm.
When you say you want it to be stuff about us, you want it to not be buttons?
Right, I want it to be stuff about you. Tell me a
That's
little
just-
bit about who you are.
But you don't want it to be a button that shows that, just a display?
No, I don't need any buttons in there.
All right.
Unless you want to. Click this button to see a surprise picture of me and change one of them to a different picture. Just have a little fun with it.
All right. Thanks, Professor.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought I did stop the recording.